Happy Indigenous Peoples Day from ECON CLUB in solidarity with Indigenous peoples everywhere. In a moment when racism, authoritarianism, and genocide are surging in the United States and around the world, we must remember that history is a gift, one that allows us to see what cooperation, solidarity, and economic justice can offer us now in the present. In my family, on both my father and mother's side, our lineage traces back to the Choctaw communities in Tallahatchie, Mississippi. We are the descendants of freedmen and their children who lived alongside Choctaw people in the early 19th century. My father grew up as a kid visiting our family on reservation lands in Oklahoma, lands that Choctaw people were displaced to during forced removals. In the 1830s, after the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek, the U.S. forced many Choctaw people off their ancestral lands. Between 1831 and 1833, roughly 20,000 people were made to walk to Indian Territory, what is now Oklahoma. Over decades, dispossession continued in many forms. Then, thousands and thousands of miles away at that time, Ireland was facing its own devastation. Between 1845 and 1849, the Great Potato Famine, An Gorta Mór, killed about 1 million people, while 2 million more were forced to immigrate. At the same time, Ireland was still exporting food, grain, meat, and dairy to Britain. People starved as ships of food left their shores, and the British government offered almost no meaningful relief. Even The Economist at that time published an editorial that blamed the Irish poor for their own starvation. Many historians argue today that when what Britain allowed, and in many cases encouraged through colonial policy, crossed the line into genocide by omission, creating the conditions for mass suffering while refusing to intervene. This ideology, called moral discipline through hunger, persisted long after. A century later, during the Bengal famine of 1943, Winston Churchill, then prime minister, reportedly said that the famine was the fault of Indians, breeding like rabbits, while withholding shipments of grain as millions of people again starved. This is what empire looks like when it believes scarcity is something that is earned or something that is deserved. But what does the Great Famine have to do with the Choctaw Nation? In 1847, Choctaw leaders, not the heads of one of the wealthiest nations in the world, but a people still recovering from forced removal and loss, gathered and raised $170 to send as famine relief to Ireland. That amount in today's terms is roughly $6,000 to $7,000. It was a breathtaking act of solidarity from one displaced people to another. That gift is still remembered today in Ireland through the sculpture Kindred Spirits in County Cork, a memorial to the generosity of the Choctaw people. These stories are not separate. They are connected through patterns of dispossession, of structural violence, and of ethical generosity under unimaginable scarcity. Together, they form a map of what we might build instead. We, as human beings, are naturally interdependent. We are all connected to one another, and we are more powerful together, more powerful than any oppressive regime, any reign of terror, any empire that has ever existed or that exists today. On this Indigenous Peoples Day, Econ Club honors that truth. We recommit to building systems rooted in care, reparative justice, and liberatory economics. If you want a deeper dive into Indigenous economic systems, reparations frameworks, or solidarity legacies, DM me. Let's build not just awareness, but collective power. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.